Hello, Mr. Mike. He is. He is.
I'm reliving the song.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just reliving the Goonies.
Yeah, that too. Yes.
Hello, Amy. Welcome to the show. I know Kay's hiding out there somewhere, and whoever else is on board, whether that's Karen, I don't know. But welcome to the show. Yeah, there's Kay. He's got his groove on. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a computer in front of me, so I couldn't tell you who's here. Any comments? I don't have any of that tonight. Sorry.
Well, Kay said hello. He's got his groove on. So I'll be reading the comments, folks, tonight. And whoever else there, welcome to the show. So tonight, oh, that's Karen. Hello, Karen.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
So originally you came up with the idea, or somebody did. Was it Amy that brought it to your attention, Mike?
Well, you put me on the spot. Yes, it was Amy.
And she brought exactly, what was it?
Well, Amy and I were actually having a conversation about empaths. And it was actually my daughter that originally brought it up. And so we're having a conversation about it, and she said that would be a great subject for Off the Cuff. So I said, okay, good, because I didn't have any ideas for tonight. Because I really didn't. We have 2 whole weeks to think about these shows, and sometimes it just comes together at the last minute. I think we've said that before, but
yeah. It does. Amy goes, ha, you're doing a podcast on it. Awesome. Well, it's part that and part something else, Amy, but Kay brought up another idea, so we'll get into that. And then I was actually given another idea from Kay, so it's going to kind of bebop all over the place tonight.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid.
Yes, exactly, like a hybrid. Yes, it was a hybrid. Not a low bread, hybrid. More wheat. No, not wheat. Cultures? Anyway, I digress. Empath. So I guess we should tell everybody, for the most part, what is an empath?
Yeah, that's a good question to start with. I had it all in front of me, and I was trying to read it, and like 15 minutes ago, I'm trying to crash learn what I read, and I'm going, yeah. The funny thing is, my daughter actually asked me, she goes, what is an empath, right? Because my daughter's been showing some interest in this kind of stuff, which doesn't surprise me. But so I, in the simplest terms, I told her, it's basically some people have the ability to read into people's emotions, kind of tap into them, so to speak. But some people realize they're doing it, and some people don't. Some people have a higher degree of ability to do it. Others have zilch.
True.
So, yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So that's basically the layman's very simple Cole's Notes versions of what it is.
Well, I didn't get much more than that. I haven't really had the time to look at it, but empaths, from what I've read, they're just exactly what you said they are. They have that ability to tap into other people's feelings in various forms. And whether, as Karen said, it's a blessing and a curse, to put it bluntly. Yeah, I can see that, Karen. It's something that allows people to tap into other people's feelings, but not just other people's. People's pets, just groups of people, where people have been but are no longer at. And I'm not talking paranormal. I'm talking like let's say you're going into a tragic event, like you're going into an event where something tragically happened, and it's right after the event. And empaths have been known to go into these events or into these spaces right after the event and just are overwhelmed
Hmm.
with what appears, and it has nothing to do with the paranormal. It's just the aftermath of what's there. The energy is what's there in the building is causes them to, I guess, pick it up and read it, or however they want to produce that.
Yeah.
Now, Amy said, "I agree, Karen, but if you have it, it's kind of like your own superpower, as you can read a room, but it can also be very draining."
Hmm.
And then Kay said, "I would say I am an empath. It's emotionally draining." Well, yeah, it can be. I mean, it's whether it's picking up emotions or other things. And I do have a picture I'll put up a little bit later as we're talking about empaths that show the various different types. But um, just that ability alone must play havoc with a person, I would think.
You would think, and you know, this is where the whole conversation between Amy and I came into play. Is I've been doing this for 8 years, and I always say I am about as sensitive as a rock. Maybe not as insensitive as someone else on the team, but um, it's also because I've been masking it. I've been hiding it, and I know this because I pick up on things, but I just don't say it. So I kind of get what you're saying. What for those of you that have that ability, I get it. I do get it. It's just because I have not said anything in 8 years.
Yeah, but was that out of because you just chose not to say anything out of 8 years, or was that out of fear?
No, it wasn't out of fear. It was out of not knowing what the hell it was.
Okay. Are you sure it's empathic though?
I'm pretty sure it is because this is a really good example. The other day, uh, and I told my daughter this, I was on the SkyTrain going to Vancouver, and I'm just sitting there minding my own business, not really paying attention to those around me. All of a sudden, I felt incredibly sad. Now, I had no reason to feel sad. I was going to work, which is sad enough, I guess, for some people. But, anyways, I felt really incredibly sad. And so I kind of, looked up and looked around, and the lady directly in front of me, waiting to get off the train, was crying. And I just kind of went, okay, that's why I'm feeling sad. Because I did not realize she was crying. I didn't even notice her before that.
So I'm just going to be the devil's advocate for a second.
Hmm.
Could a person in a given situation like that have actually subconsciously noted it? But again, it was subconscious, so only later did that side come out because you noted it, but it just wasn't
Yeah, of course.
a notification right off the top. So it wasn't visual right off the bat. It did something that registered later. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm just wondering. I mean, there's lots of options
Yeah.
to that.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it. I like to agree that empaths exist.
Hmm.
Because I think everybody is one to a degree. I mean, because we all, I mean, you can walk into a room and be probably the most, you know, unfeeling, uncaring individual in the world and not have any sympathy for anybody and walk in the room and still know when the room doesn't feel right.
Yeah, and I think that lends to when people don't realize that they even have that ability, or they can't channel it, they can't focus it. So yeah, they walk into a room and they go, "Ooh, that feels weird. Like I don't get a good vibe in this room," right? Like a lot of people say that. It is an empathic ability, but they've never used it to any extent. They just kind of go, "Oh, I just don't feel good in here," and then they leave.
Okay, so let me just throw this out. I mean, being a paranormal investigator for 8 years, why not use that sooner than what you've done?
I think it's because of that's where the fear comes in, because it's like if you open yourself up emotionally and you're reading on a feeling that you have no reason to feel, like fear, joy, whatever, it's like, no, I need to shut this down, and I need to close it off. I'll do something, anything to not go there. Now,
All
I
right.
understand how, you know, as the years have gone by, I've kind of been like, maybe I should be using this. But then again, there's others on the team that are much better at it than I am. So
Well, it takes practice, but
exactly.
there's a difference between mediumship and empathic
Yes.
ability.
Yes.
Now, do you want me to read what Amy wrote or just put it up?
No, you can put it up. I mean, it's probably what Amy's already talked to me about, but yes, I told Amy we could work on his abilities, but not hold back when feeling something. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I know there's others on the team though that are much more capable of it. I have no problem myself going to an investigation and, with someone like you or Amy or anybody that has other has empathic abilities, and be like, okay, Mike, what do you feel like? And you've done it before. You kind of, like, on our last investigation, you actually said, Mike, what are you feeling? And I went, nothing at all, because it was true. But before that, I said, this doesn't feel good in here, right? This one room that like this one area that we went into, I said, I didn't feel good in there. But
Well,
then a minute
let me
later,
let me shove up what Kay just said.
it affects you deeply to the point of ruining your day, and you can't explain why. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that.
So here's something that I can't. Okay, can I agree with what Amy said just a few seconds ago? Yes.
Hmm.
Can I also disagree with what she said? Yes. I have two outlooks on that. One is, it's one thing to know you have the ability.
Hmm.
It's another thing entirely to understand not just the ability, but how it affects you personally.
Hmm.
Okay. So that's why I like to say to people, take your time with it. I would never ask anybody to throw themselves fully into it, no matter what the situation. I wouldn't do that, especially
Hmm.
if somebody hasn't been using it for a while. I mean, for instance, Nikki walked into a room. She's an empath. She's been doing it for many, many years. She doesn't hold back too much, but it
Yeah.
also affects her, right?
Yeah.
Um, can she control it? Yes, but it's taken a lot, and it takes a hell of a lot from her to do so, especially under certain circumstances. And I've seen her in those circumstances where, yeah, like, whoa, well, you got to back off because it is affecting you. Now, that's
Hmm.
somebody that's been running that and using it for a long, long time.
Exactly.
So to not hold back to a degree can be a scary prospect.
Yeah.
And it so I think it's one idea to try and test the waters with it and say, okay, I'm going to open up, but then also have the ability to say, okay, I'm shutting it down.
Hmm.
And then going with what you're feeling. You'll notice, like, okay, so a lot of times when we're at an investigation, somebody will say something, somebody will do something, something will happen, and I'll go, okay, what did you feel? And
Yeah.
somebody goes on and they go, well, I felt this, and I go, whoa, stop. What was the very first thing you felt? Close your
Yeah.
eyes. What's the very first thing you felt? Because a lot of times that's going to be the most relevant and the most correct, almost right off the bat, right? It's when we go on past that point that it becomes a little more mixed up and we start putting into our own
Yes.
interpretations of what we got, right?
Yeah. I can understand that.
Um, I mean, if you have the empathic ability, it's nice to use it.
Hmm.
But if you feel something, and this is my recommendation, if you would feel something to a point where you're like, I'm not sure exactly whether I can handle this or not, if you even question it, then you shut it down,
Yeah. And
right?
that's why, for the most part, I've always shut it down. Always.
Which makes it a little
Because
more difficult to open up.
exactly. And that's why I go, nope, I feel nothing. Because I'm telling myself I feel nothing.
Yeah, which is actually a good thing. You have the ability to do that because
Yeah.
a lot of empaths can't.
Yeah.
They say they can shut it down, but they can't.
Yeah.
It's like people look at me and say, how do you control your abilities? I don't shut it down. They're always there.
Yeah.
I just ignore them.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have it, but I have to agree and yet disagree with Amy's statement, kind of on a 50-50 level type of thing, right?
I get it. Yeah.
Um,
Another really fun example. This is everyone goes, oh, the fear, the sadness, whatever. There was an investigation I did. And again, this is long. I'm trying to think back, but it's probably about 5 years ago now. I was doing an investigation. It's just me and another lady, and we were doing a residential. The homeowner had left and left us there. I could not stop laughing. Like, I found everything funny, even if it's the stupidest thing. I found everything funny, and like to the point where the lady I was with, she goes, "Okay, Mike, enough's enough." And I looked at her, I said, while I was laughing, I said, "I don't know why I'm laughing. I don't get it. I don't know what the deal is." Right? And
yeah,
I had to leave the premises and then come back. That's the only way I could get it to stop. So again, this many years later, I look back and I go, I think that was another one of those moments.
and yeah, exactly, and it's very much possibly could have been too. I
Yeah.
mean, and one of the, how can I say this? Well, I guess that's one of the things about what we do as investigators is that we can be affected, even for those that are not necessarily empathic. And one of the examples, and I think I've told you this before,
Hmm.
myself, another fella, can't remember whether it was Steve Davey or who it was, but there was another fellow with us, Nikki and Connie and whatnot. We're at a residential in North Vancouver. And only later did we find out why we were acting this way, but we did an investigation. And of course, Nikki and Connie are acting really giddily and almost to a point where we were like, okay, this is just stupid, but it was over the top. They couldn't stop acting giddy and over the top, just in the positive nature. They just couldn't stop it. Well, me and I think it was Steve Davey at the time, we were sitting there and all we wanted to do was kill him. Literally, we just wanted to reach over and strangle it. And it wasn't out of anger. It was just that feeling that we wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And it was so overpowering. We're like, what the hell is going on? So we all went for a walk and we were fine. We came back, we were fine. Only later did we find out the lady that had passed away in the room, I do believe it was a lady, was a manic depressive. So the depression affected me and the guy, where the manic depressive affected the women. And we didn't even realize what was doing it until later.
Yeah.
And that was the most bizarre thing I had ever experienced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm kind of like, I've seen that and I'm kind of like, that's where you got to be a little bit kind of going, okay, let's test the waters, pull it back, test the waters, pull it back until you're comfortable that you can test the waters, you get something, you say it, and then you can kind of go, okay, it's a little much. I'm going to back it off for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then step into it again. It's kind of like starting into the puddles and taking a step, and then you're into the puddle and you're out of the puddle again. So it's kind of like that. You're going to get wet a little bit, but each time you get a little bit more and more and more, but you have control at the same time. Yeah. That's just my interpretation of. What was that? Kay said, Karen will remember this, and both you guys certain place. I was brought to tears. That was the most extreme for me. Yes, I remember where that was.
Yeah. That was probably the first time I ever had any sort of empathic experience, if you want to call it that. Entering, I know we can't say where it was, but I just want to say that I was entering a room, and I just stopped in the doorway and I said, "No, not going in there."
No, I know
was
we
that
can't.
just my own fear, or was that something else? I don't know. Right?
I know we can't. I know we can't say where it was, but just out of curiosity, I'm just going to throw this out there: boys or girls' side, or was it the Muse?
It was kind of. It was on the left side. Was that the girl side?
From the entrance?
Yeah, if you were saying
boys.
you're standing up.
Oh yeah, girls. Sorry, girls side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. And that yeah. So yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. I can
Yeah.
understand that fully.
And I remember
And
because Nikki was there,
yeah.
and Nikki went into there, and she turned and looked at me. She goes, "Seems okay to me."
Well,
I
because
went,
she
"Okay."
wasn't, she just, because again, Nikki, you're looking at somebody that
Yeah,
can just go on, off, on, off, on, off for the
yeah,
most part, right? And that's what I'm saying. That's the difference between somebody who's been doing it for years
yeah,
and yourself who's just decided to say, I've been doing it, but I've always kind of said no,
yeah,
right? So it helps to, but now you know what it's like to shut it off. Now you
yeah.
can easily kind of like turn the tap on and just go, okay, well, let's try it.
And
Right. So,
I know like the particular building or whatever where Kay is talking about that where she was brought to tears. I did not feel anything. Right. Like again, had I shut myself off at that point, or who knows? Right. It was 8 years ago now, which is crazy just still to think about that. But you know,
it was a long time ago. Yes, it
it was a
was.
long time ago, and it was my second ever investigation. I mean, come on. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'd only seen like TV shows.
Well, that was definitely a different one. That one was.
Oh,
Couldn't have asked for a more intense second investigation, could you?
oh man, come on. And then I had to like drive
Yeah.
drive about what, an hour, 45 minutes to an hour afterwards, all alone in the dark, and I'm going, what the hell did I just do? Like,
No doubt, no
holy.
doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
After
Okay,
seeing what Kay
so
went through as well, right? Like that was all part and parcel of it. And hearing a disembodied voice that night for the first time, I was just like, I'm hooked.
I'm hooked. I'll be back
I'm
for the next
freaking
8 years.
hooked.
So what else did you and Amy discuss about the whole empath tie to the paranormal side of things?
Um, that's kind of where we left it. I mean, I obviously, I was gonna bring it up to you, but I thought, this would be a great avenue to do it and kind of throw it out to everybody on YouTube, right? And the whole YouTube world gets to discover this thing with me. Um, no, I mean, basically, she just said, like it's good to kind of break into it. Like, it's okay to go into a room and just look at me and just say, like, Mike, what are you feeling here? Right? If I say nothing, it's good old Mike again.
Well, yeah, because I mean, sometimes I'll get something that no other people don't. I mean, there's many times I've been in the same place as Nikki. She gets it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not an empath
Mhm.
like her or like you. I'm different.
Yeah.
I'll just say that I'm different.
It's
Karen said that place even affected Gord. That's how intense it was.
yeah, that's saying a lot, and
That's
it's
saying a lot.
yeah, I know it's one that's stuck with me for all these years that just,
Well, I,
you
I
know, you,
want I want to throw up a picture
yeah,
here,
for
just
sure.
something I've got. Okay, and I'll just leave it up. So there it is. There. Now, I can't read this close because I'm a little farther away. Maybe other people out there can read it. You got clear
I could
cognizant.
I could read
Okay.
it perfectly because I'm just sitting here. So yeah, you got claircognizant empath, picks up intentions by being around other people and by their words.
Mhm.
Psychometric empath gains information by touching a physical object.
Which I do to a point sometimes.
I can understand that. I've never done that, but animal
Have you ever tried
empath
it?
likes no, uh, likes to interact and feels the emotions of animals. Interesting.
That's okay.
Uh, geomantic empath, deep connection with the earth, can predict natural disaster. I don't know anybody that can do that.
No, neither do
That's
I.
that's next level. Precognitive empath gets the feeling of an event situation that is about to occur. Um, I may have a little bit of that ability. I'm just saying. Emotional empath doesn't express but feels the connection at physical and emotional level. Yeah, I think that's where everybody seems to have a little bit. Maybe
It's
they don't.
probably the
You
most
know,
common. Yeah.
it's the most common. Yeah. Telepathic empath, capable of reading another person's thoughts. That's like intrusive. That's when you're like, get out of my head.
Never had anybody read my thoughts before, so never met anybody
Yeah.
who could.
Plant empath. I mean, unless you're Groot, loves plants and gets signal from plants.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I had
that's.
to laugh at that one. I had to laugh at that one.
I am Groot. I will read your thoughts. Like,
I am Groot. Love that.
I
Oh
mean,
Lord.
we're going on investigation this summer. I hope no one goes up and starts hugging trees and asking for their stories. Um, medium and sorry, that's just a thought. The image in my head just came in. Oh, yes. I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
Don't worry, don't
Me,
worry. Their bark is much worse than the bite.
yeah. Your dad jokes are on par. You must have accessed your database.
Oh, boo. All right,
Medium,
medium.
medium empath hears, feels, or sees spirits of the deceased people. Okay,
I guess that would make me
that's I can't.
to a
No,
point.
no,
That way.
that guy over there.
Yeah, that guy over there. Okay.
Physically receptive empath feels the physical pain of others, and they embody the pain in themselves. I hope I never feel that. That would. I
Which,
mean,
which to a point, I think actually
yeah.
Nikki is to that point too. And I mean, she's not here to tell me otherwise, but I think that she is definitely takes on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've kind of seen that a little bit to an extent. I think when something like that happens, you have to be really in control though. Like if you're feeling the pain of someone that had their head blown off.
Well, okay. I'll admit that was rare for me. That was very rare for me. Amy just said emotional vampires. Don't forget the emotional vampires.
The emotional vampires that suck everything out of you.
Amy also said, I'm not most, I'm not sure about plant, but I cried when I killed my strawberry hanging basket. I hope it forgives me. LOL. Oh dear.
It's
Oh,
like when you go out and prune your plants, do you start crying? Like, I'm sorry that you probably love that
snip,
dead
snip.
leaf.
Don't cut off the wrong leaf, okay?
Honestly, what is the plant gonna do? Start crying and like, damn you!
Well, if you hook it up to one of those little friggin' monitors, apparently they feely. They have feelies. Feelies?
So I've seen
Feelies.
on TV. I mean, it's like don't believe everything you see on TV.
Okay, fine. Maybe they don't have feelies, but I like to think they have feelies.
I don't think plants. I mean, plants can make you feel good.
Help me! Help me!
I think
Sorry,
it's going.
sorry.
I'm famous. I'm on YouTube.
Oh dear, dear, dear.
No, I actually have this weird thing where I will think about something and not even like register that I thought about it. It'll be like something totally random. Like I don't even have a really good example. I could just it's because they're so obscure things. They're just random little things, and then a week, maybe a month, maybe even a year later, all of a sudden that random thing happens, and I go, I remember thinking about that. Now, is that me seeing the future? I mean, if that's the case, I just want to see the winning lottery numbers. That's all I care about. I don't want to know that I was going to have a peanut butter sandwich. Like,
Well, I can predict tomorrow I'm going to have a peanut butter sandwich, and damn right I'm going to have a peanut butter sandwich. But I mean, well, I mean, but then again, you're also wondering because that brings up our old realm that is everything past, present, and future all happening at the same time.
oh God, here we go.
But you see what I'm saying? So are empaths actually predicting a future event, or are they just predicting that something's already happened?
I'm going down the rabbit hole here.
Well, I'm gonna get a little rabbit puppet one day and just bounce it across the screen.
Why does everything always come back to time?
Well, because we have the time.
Well, really, we only got about 30 minutes left. So
Well, that is true. That is true. That is true. Now that brings up something else that Kay had brought up. Now,
he went dark.
You're right. She did.
Like, why does she go to the darkness? It's like,
Oh, by the
she's-
way, I got one more thing to post. This is from Karen.
don't laugh. I do worry I'm hurting my plants when I prune.
So I'm very careful and tell them it's just a haircut. Kay's like,
I mean, not Kate. Karen, do you put Band-Aids on your plants when you like break a leaf?
well, some people put little pieces of towel over the cuttings. I've seen it. Wet paper towel. I've seen it. Believe you me, I've seen it. I'm just saying.
Maybe I'm just insensitive to greenery.
You're just insensitive. Like, hey, my dear plant right here. I mean, I can't even see my hand now.
You know what's funny is, okay, so I read something once. What if plants are actually harvesting us? Think about it. Think about it. This is going down a rabbit hole. Okay.
And you thought I was digging a hole.
Okay. Bear with me here. So what do plants give out? Right? They give out oxygen, which we breathe.
Yeah.
They're harvesting us because we die, we get put back into the earth, they consume us and give up more oxygen.
Okay, so hold on a second. So are you telling me they get rather pissed off when we just get cremated?
Yeah. Yeah. That's when they're going, okay, so this guy over here got cremated. They better put him into a stream, into the ground. I don't care where they put his bits, but it better go back somewhere where I can access it so I can use that to create more oxygen and grow more of these things so I can live. So,
more of these killer trees.
right? So, like, are plants not harvesting us?
Does that mean plants are carnivorous too?
Yes, they are.
Oh boy, don't tell Kay. She's like Little Shop of Horrors.
The trees must get horrified when they see us like putting them on the top of the cars, and we're all happy and joyous, going, "It's Christmas time."
Well, at least we decorate them. We give them balls.
It always comes back to the balls.
It always comes back to balls. Okay, so Kay went to the whole concept.
Yes. Kay went to the Darth Vader side of the paranormal.
Yes, she did. She went to attachments.
I don't see any around me. I'm good.
Okay. So I guess the best thing I can say is to those that listen or listening or will listen later. One of the shall it be ongoing theories and concerns sometimes. Kay just said it's behind you. About attachments and having things connect and attach to you from various places, investigations or otherwise. I've had that happen twice that I can identify. And the first one wasn't so pleasant. The second one was a little bit pleasanter, but again, the first one went away when it was asked. The second one the first one had to be driven out a little bit more. And the second one kind of went when I asked it to. So to say that from my perspective that attachments can't happen, I think they can very much so. But I don't know why I was chosen and not somebody else, because I wasn't the only one there.
Maybe look at it like it's a claw machine and you were the one selected by the claw. I find humor in just about everywhere, you know.
That claw.
The claw. Oh, look, it's Daryl.
Not much to grab onto here, you know. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know, but that was the question that did run through my head: is why me? Why me, and why not somebody else? So, and this brings back even to the question of an empath. by opening yourself up, are you the target to having an attachment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can understand that. I also think that people can be almost like a beacon, right? They give off, like we've talked about, an aura, right? They have that aura about them, and maybe their aura is shining a little bit brighter, and they kind of, on the other side, they kind of shine through, and they go, "Ooh, I like this guy." His aura is like teal colored. That's my favorite color, and that's why I picked this guy. Or maybe they can just tell who who has the ability to connect with them the best, right?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So they kind
Karen
of
said,
they kind of bounce around, and they go, okay, there's a group of 5 people here, and they kind of go and poke and go, nope, not this guy. This guy's got nothing. Nope, not her. Yeah. Oh, this guy. Yeah, 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 this guy. And then loop. Yeah,
um,
exactly, right? Like,
Karen said maybe it could be an energy thing, which is what you just said.
yeah,
Person with the most energy they grasp onto. I
yeah.
also think it may also be that, like you said, they poke the bear, so to speak,
Mhm.
and the person that can, like you said, connect with them the most, or at least, like somebody turns and says, "Oh," and they can see me, right?
Yeah,
Nobody else has, so I'm sticking,
yeah.
right? Because now somebody actually sees me.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
say you go, oh, I saw a shadow out of the corner of my eye over in this part of the room. Well, if there's something actually there, they go, oh, he just saw me.
yeah.
I'm gonna go to that guy, right? And whereas everyone's like, oh, I didn't see anything.
Which brings up another question. Is it something that most paranormal investigators should it be something that a lot of investigators should be more concerned about or less concerned about? What do you think?
I think you should always have everything in the back of your mind, but at the same time, we as investigators, we want things to happen because we want to see things, we want to hear things. We don't want anything to happen to us. We don't want attachments, but we also want things to happen. So it's a fine line.
Well, and we know we've passed that line,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
we have,
So,
we have.
but then again, it depends on the person being put in the line of fire,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So, it's that event, and we were not going to say exactly what happened, but that event alone showed me that there needs to be a little bit more from the person's end that was involved before they open up too far,
Hmm.
because that could happen, right? That kind of thing. And that was
Hmm.
that was honestly more for me than anybody, was a scariness to me, because I went to myself later, I went, holy shit, what did I just do? Pardon my language, right?
Yeah.
And it ran through my head for days after
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? And it was something that just freaked me out more because of what I didn't even see coming, which I
Yeah.
should have. And
Hmm.
that was the weirdest thing about that whole event. So I think as investigators, now hang on a second, I'm going to go back to a couple comments here.
Hmm.
Karen said, not so much concerned, but aware of what happened. Kay posted up, I think it's something. I think if something wants to attach to you, it will, no matter where you are. Hospitals spring to mind.
Hmm.
Amy said, what did she say here? Uh, but I like, blah, God. But like I said to Mike, empaths should speak up. So if there are things that we should all be aware of, especially if more than one person feels the same, we can go with the game
Hmm.
with game plans. That is true. I mean, I'm not saying people shouldn't speak up.
No,
Um,
I just wonder, like we said it at the top of the show, not everyone has this ability.
no,
So, if even one person goes, I'm not feeling so good about this, you're right, then we should probably listen to that person. I mean, you don't I when it comes to a cohesive team, right, you want to make sure everybody on the team is trusting and caring and understanding. And if you don't feel good about something, you need to say something, right? Because that's the safety of the entire team. But
That's true,
at the
bro.
same
Probably.
time, I can understand how someone would go, they're feeling something, they're going, I don't know if it's actually anything, so I'm just going to be quiet.
Well, I can see that too, right?
Right?
But from the other part of what you just said, if somebody goes into a place and says, I don't really feel right about a place, if it's 1 in 10, I'm going to either leave you out or I'm going to say, okay, let's find out. Let's find out why.
Let's find out why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's find
exactly.
out why. I mean, I did this. I did this to poor Karen one day. She'll remember this. We were at a specific place, and she felt at a place. She did not want to remain in the chair that she was in, and she wanted to get up and leave, and I said, listen, I said, this is what we do. I mean, are you feeling that? Is it that bad? Is it really that bad? And she said, well, no. I said, well, then have a seat. And she sat back down. I got to give it to her. She sat back down and stayed there. But it was one of those things. It was just an uncomfortable feeling, but it wasn't so uncomfortable that the immediate feeling was get up and I want to leave. But
Yeah.
did it stick? No. It remained, but it wasn't as strong as what it was once the person that was experiencing it took control of it and realized that it wasn't as bad as what it was. But
On the
again, that's what we do, right?
Yeah, on a, I don't know if it's a flip side, but another way you could look at it too is, what if it just comes and hits you out of the blue? Like, good analogy is, you're driving your car and you're just doing your thing, and all of a sudden you get T-boned out of nowhere, right? It can happen on investigation too, where you are an empath, you're not feeling anything, and all of a sudden, 10 minutes into your EVP session, you are blindsided by something, and you were not expecting that whatsoever.
Which is exactly why I pulled Amy out last time.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So, I mean, that's what, has to happen in for a lot of investigations, is that when people see it, they got to know, or at least the leads have to know when they see something, as to say, hey, either I call this, or that person leaves, goes back up to the base with somebody. If somebody else is there, you send them back and say, hey, you're out for now. Let's see if you settle down and come back. I mean, that's all part of, like, if one person's feeling weird about an area, then you take them out with another person, get them back to the base, and with the other 4 people that are still left there, you continue on,
yeah.
because you don't know, and it may be a sign that something is trying to get something across, but it was just overwhelming for a particular person or a particular set of people, right? So that's where you really have to watch out for and say, at what point do you pull the whole thing, or not, right? But again, we are some people's very last resort.
Exactly. So if
Right.
you get to the point where you're freaked out and you're like, no, 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 we're calling it, we're wrapping this up, and it's someone's home,
Mm-hmm. Well,
like, you kind of go, I think the best thing in that situation is kind of like, let's just step outside, everybody, and clear your mind, clear your thoughts, reconvene, new game plan, right?
100%,
I
hundred
think that's the
percent.
best way to approach it. Just get out of there altogether for however long it needs to take for the entire team to go, okay, we're good, we're good.
Yeah, and that brings us back to attachments.
Hmm.
Now, you can be, and I agree with Kay on this. You can get an attachment anywhere, anytime. You could be out for tea and crumpets, and something could attach to you. You just never know. There's no set rule in the paranormal field to say, hey, here's an attachment. It's going to get one of us. I mean, there's nothing there to say one way or the other, but there are indications sometimes at investigation. I say sometimes because it does happen, where you're in a room, you got one person that, like yourself, would say something, another person says something, and a third person goes, yeah. And then it comes down to whoever's in the lead position to say, okay, is this to a point where you need to leave? If people say yes and it's multiple, then you leave. If people say no, I don't think it's at that point, then it has to run through people's heads that, okay, there is something here that could attach. It's strong enough to attach. Do we take that leap of faith of going a little bit farther and attaching it, or allowing it the opportunity to even have that opportunity? Or do we just negate that by saying, hey, you're not welcome? Because I don't think somebody saying you're not welcome, don't attach yourself to us, frankly, I don't think that works. I mean, I think it might work, but we don't really know. And I mean, for everybody out there that said, Karen, tea and crumpets. For
No,
everybody out,
I picture myself in the Empress right now. Yeah.
that's right. For everybody out there that is deals in these situations like us, you have to run it. You have to run the plausibilities and the possibilities as to what you're doing and who you're communicating with and what you're trying to communicate with.
Yeah.
And if an attachment happens, just tell you, man, no matter who you are or what group you're with, tell them.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah,
them.
it's communication is key, right?
Yeah.
You have to. It's for your own safety, it's for your team's safety, it's for the integrity of the investigation.
Right. Now, there are different types of attachments.
There are.
There are ones that will just, you'll get home and your feelings will be messed with.
Mm,
Like it's just like it's like, I think Amy said it later, an energy vampire just brings you up and brings you down, brings you up, brings you down. It just wears you out, consistently wears you out. There's ones that you actually physically hear. There's ones that you actually physically see. And then there's the real buggers that basically they're dark shadows. They'll frighten the hell out of you, but whether they actually mean to or not, we don't know. But they did. I've had one, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience.
yeah.
But again, it went away. Well, with help, but it went away. So
Yeah.
that hide in your stairwell and peek out at you, and you give names to. Well, there are those too, or the ones that little kids play with that name. Are they really just invisible friends?
Invisible friends. I don't remember ever having it. Well, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't call it a friend. It was just an invisible something.
Something. But there are a lot of them. So from my point of view, I think attachments can happen.
Yeah.
That's my point of
Yeah.
view.
Yeah, I believe that attachments can happen. Now, whenever, like, in my mind, I picture attachments like there's something literally like hanging on to you, right? Like it's like draped over you, and it's just. I think that's where Amy comes up with the idea of a vampire, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like it's literally hanging on you, just sucking everything out of you, and you kind of wake up and you just feel like you haven't slept in days. And no, it's not. That's not why I have insomnia. But then there's also the kind where it's like, like you're describing where there's a shadow in your room or just weird things happening. You hear disembodied voices and you're kind of like, well, that's weird, But
Yeah.
as an investigator, it's definitely something that you have to keep in mind. Um, I know my wife has always said, don't bring anything home. And I always go, well, I don't plan to.
No, no, you don't plan to. Well,
So,
that's it.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
but go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, 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 no. I'm done. I'm done. I don't. I've had an experience with something, and I can't say it was an attachment. I put the puzzle pieces together, and it kind of makes sense. But was it an attachment? I don't know. Right. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, can't go into details about it, where it was, or anything like that. But just something weird.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Kay said, my daughter said that, but I am convinced she did. Bring somebody. Oh, I'm pretty sure your daughter brought somebody home, Kay. Don't know what for where, but
Well,
that's a whole other story.
considering where she works, that we know where she works,
Yeah.
I could understand there's a higher chance of that happening. Um, yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's not all paranormal investigators. I get that too, right? I mean, we kind of put ourselves out there to have it greater chance of it happening. But if someone works in a field where they are surrounded by death, like say like a mortician, could you imagine them thinking about possibly having an attachment or 60?
Well, but then again, the morticians 90% of the time they're working on bodies after they're dead.
Well, they're dead, but are they dead?
Well, how long are you hanging around your body once it's dead? Once it's dead.
This body's a temple. I'm gonna just be like, nah, this is fine. I made that body. Come on. I don't know how it all works. That's why we do this.
That's that. Yeah, exactly. But I would say to all the investigators out there, if you end up watching this, understand this: the longer you're in the field, the more likely it's going to happen eventually. And if you're a sensitive, an empath, or otherwise, and you connect with something, I think indeed that it can happen. And sometimes they're easy to get rid of because it's very simple as going, you know what, you don't belong here, you got to go back. Other times, you need a little help.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, we also pick up a lot of attachments we know nothing about over the time that we're in this field. Everybody does. That's why over years, some people get very tired, they get worn out. Sometimes just a whole whack of different attachments, and they're just subtle ones that everybody doesn't know about. There are people out there that are able to clean that, but you really have to do your homework, find somebody reputable, somebody who's got a good reputation. And a lot of people say, hey, these people are good. I mean, because they don't usually do it for free. I mean, I've been lucky enough through Kay to find somebody that did. Incredible feeling after she was done. I was shocked by it, really, and it felt really good for a long time. Now it wears off after a while, but as she said, the longer you keep doing this, the more attachments you're going to get. I mean, it does happen, so just be aware of it.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's kind of like a dust bunny. If you just ignore it, it becomes a bigger dust bunny and a bigger dust bunny, and then eventually you just have a whole dog.
That yaps at the Amazon guy.
Exactly.
It's not really a dog, Mike. It's a dust bunny.
Your attachment starts barking at the Amazon delivery guy. Wait, what?
Oh my God! Then it hides under the couch, right?
Exactly. And then you start naming it. Come on now. That's it. When it starts paying room and board, then you can be like, okay, I get it.
Karen said morticians cannot be empaths. Laugh out loud.
Oh, I know, right? That would be a really tough job if you did have any empathic abilities. I'd be like, personally, I don't think I could ever do that kind of work.
Well, I think I don't know. I don't know about, like I said, as far as the mortician goes, I don't think they'd have so much of a problem until the family came into view.
Yeah.
Then it might be a problem, but that's more.
That's the emotional side of it, right?
Yeah, that would be more. Now, it's not the mortician. What am I thinking of?
Well,
I
there's the
guess the
guy that
mortician.
there's guys that perform like the
The
embalming and all
autopsy.
that.
But I guess the mortician is going to be there as part of the autopsy, but they do more of the prepping of the body for burial, right?
Yeah.
Or cremation. So
Yeah. Yeah. Or the person that actually does the cremation. I could not do that job. And no, I know you're not actually physically seeing a person when you put it into the kiln, if you want to call it that, the fire.
the kiln
They put them inside. I know it killed.
gonna come out of the pot.
Can we
Well, let's just ceramic pot this and glaze it, and there we go. Put a little writing on the side. Dear Pa.
Oh
No.
can we turn grandma into a teapot? No. Okay.
Exactly.
Back on track. Back on track. I know you're not putting the person into the fire. Just a person. They're inside of a box. But still, like, if you are empathic, that's got to be a horrible feeling.
I guess I don't know. I've never really consider that. I mean, I couldn't do it anyway, not because I
No.
wouldn't want to or anything. It's just not something that has ever really crossed my mind.
Oh yeah, no. It's never crossed my mind. I'm thinking about it right now, and it's no. That's a big no for me.
Karen says years ago. Oh, hang on a second.
What's Karen got to
Jay
say?
said, I know a mortician. He said it is emotionally draining, and so he has an alter ego to compensate for it.
I can understand that. I can get
He
behind
doesn't
that.
play. He doesn't play a clown, does he? We all know about those clowns.
Yes, his
Um,
name is Penn E. Wise.
exactly. Karen said years ago, I took a course called True Colors. One job came up that I would be good at. The one job that came up that I'd be good at was mortician. I was like, "Are you serious?"
I don't think
But,
any paranormal investigator could be a mortician. I don't think so.
well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I
I
wouldn't be a bit
mean,
surprised if I wouldn't be a bit surprised if one out there is.
maybe Gord. Maybe. I don't know, Gord, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but I mean, if you put Gord in a nice long black suit, and I digress.
Hey, no, he would just sing the whole time. That would be it. He'd be good.
You'd be the singing mortician.
We're picking on Gord today, Karen. Sorry, Gord.
Sorry, Gord. He's probably at work.
Kay goes,
Oh,
laugh out loud. No, nor a cow. Well, we all know what you like about cows. Kay.
oh, we should do a whole show on fears. Oh, that would be a fun one. Kay would
Oh
be
yeah,
all over that one.
Gord is at the Abbey Canucks game, so he's not there today. Sorry,
Uh,
Gord. You'll have to watch it
well,
later, and then you can beat on us later.
he's there in spirit.
There you go. He's there in spirit. There you go. But anyway, folks. So I mean, we're almost at the end of our show, and we've talked about empaths. We've talked about attachments. Now there was something else that came up. Now we don't have time to get it tonight. Now maybe next week might be willing to jump into this, but let's just say this conversation might take you places that you've never ever been before. So I'm going to have to put us both on the poll here, looking for information on this. But I will give you a hint. It involves something that the U.S. Air Force was involved in for over 20 years. And that's all I'll say. Anyway, thank you, Kay, for the possible subject. I will tell Mike later. He's going, do, 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 do.
Actually, the
Well,
X-Files music was just playing in my head.
So if you're interested, 2 weeks time, we're going to be back right here, same bat channel, same bat time. And
But 2 weeks now, I will not be exactly where I am now. I
no,
will
you might.
actually be. I will be closer to K in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, so you'll be doing the show remotely.
I will be.
Oh, well now. All right, just make sure you have good internet.
I sure hope so.
Otherwise, be
No promises. No promises. I'll do my best.
well, like I said, it's going to be a really interesting show. So I got a bit of homework to do between now and 2 weeks from now. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to really do a little bit of homework on this one because I think it's a really interesting subject. We have brought it up in the past, but not to this degree. So stay tuned. 2 weeks away. Join myself, Daryl, and
Mr. Tired Mike.
for a brand new episode of Off the Cuff Paranormal. For tonight, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us, and have yourselves a very good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. I had to do it once.
Yeah, do it once. Good night, all.